Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope all of you are able to hear me. So, first of all, welcome to the webinar regarding the HPSC Assistant Town Planner exam. So, today, I'm sure you must have gone through the notification and there are a lot of changes. So, we are going to discuss all of that in detail today. What should be the approach? How should you prepare for the exam? And what should be your outlook, right? So, today we are going to focus on what is now the exam scheme, what is the paper pattern today after the new notification has come out, what should be your preparation strategy, and as we know that now it is a subjective paper, so what should be your answer writing approach? Or how should you look at it? What should you focus on while practicing your answer writing as well? Okay. Now, coming to the exam pattern, so what should be your answer writing approach? Or how should you look at it? What should you focus on while practicing your answer writing? Just a minute. Okay. Now, coming to the okay. So yes, now coming to the exam pattern, how many of you have gone through the notification that was published? Please let me know in the chat box. Yes, how many of you have gone through the notification that was published? Okay. So I see a lot of you have gone through that. Now, with respect to the exam pattern, or let's say the paper pattern, what the commission has published is here you will now have a written or a descriptive paper as well as an interview. So initially we had the MCQs or objective type question, but now it's changed to a subjective paper. So what, with respect to the time, the duration, all of those details we are going to discuss. So the paper is going to be for 3 hours, written paper for 150 marks. And I'm sure you know that your exam is on 29th of January, which is another 30 days in hand, right? But one important thing that is also mentioned in the notification is that to be called for the interview, you need to at least score minimum of 35% marks in the written paper. That is when you will be considered to be called for the interview. Okay. Now, as far as the exam syllabus is concerned, they have given a detailed list of all kind of planning related topics, right from surveying to human settlements to planning theory, techniques of planning, transportation, housing, etc. Right? So we have an extensive, exhaustive list of the entire syllabus. These are the main subtopics or the headings. Now, if you look at this, you have roughly 61 main headings under which they have given a detailed breakup of the syllabus, right? Now, as far as your approach, let's say, or looking at this, I am sure a lot of people will feel scared because it is a vast, extensive syllabus. Secondly, all of us, when we were preparing for the exam, we were with the mindset of what the previous year pattern was, that is the MCQ or objective type of questions, right? But now with this new notification and change, I'm sure there is a lot of chaos going on in your head as to now the exam is changed to subjective type. What should be done? How should I approach? What should I do? Or probably some of you might be even having this question that should I even go appear for the exam? Yes, how many of you have come across this thought once, twice, or the day you saw the notification? I'm sure a lot of you have, right? Now, what I would suggest, or what we at Exam Assure would tell you, is that please go do appear for the exam, because honestly, the exam would not be that difficult, right? As this subjective pattern, it is for the first time, it is introduced into a planning or an architecture exam for a competitive, at a competitive level. Because initially, if you see, take any exam across India, it is more of objective type of questions. So analyzing that as well, this should comparatively be an easier one. Secondly, all of you are students of architecture and planning. You've either done your B plan or you have done your masters in planning, right? So whatever data or whatever knowledge that you have gained over that course of your planning, masters or bachelor's in planning, it is the same database that you need to use here, right? Also, in your college or in your school also, or let's say during your master's program or bachelor's program, I'm sure you have had descriptive writing, answer writing, correct? So these kind of questions, descriptive questions, are not something that are new to you. You have done them before. Probably there is just a small gap of a few years, but it is not something that is completely new. So don't be scared as to what it would be, how it would go, etc., etc. It would be comparatively easy. What you need to focus on is now how can you streamline your preparation for the next 30 days, right? So even now, if you look at the overall syllabus that I just showed you and go through it, we can break down that syllabus into basic subjects that we are aware of, right? So for example, principles and materials and principles of construction is going to fall under your building construction material subject, right? Overall basics of that. With respect to statistical methods, techniques of planning, advanced techniques, or spatial data infrastructure, all of this are under your planning techniques that we have all learned, right? Or here your questions related to GIS, remote sensing would be something that would be focused on within these four categories. Evolution of human settlements, planning theory, development planning. Now, this is something where you are to focus on your planning history, history of planning. So different theories, different models that have come up, or the evolution of planning, all of those would categorize under these three heads. Fine. Applied geology, environmental science, utilities and services planning, infrastructure planning, all of this goes under your topic of services and infrastructure. Ecology, disaster management under your environment, disaster management, and climatology, let's say, right? So these are not, if you just look at the subtopics or these subjects, right? These are not something that are new to you. I'm sure all of you have studied this in the course of your preparation also, as well as in your college. Computer application, urban management planning legislation would come under your legislation part. Transportation planning, easy one. This surveying, photogrammetry, photography under the subject of surveying. right? Now coming to the main subject, that is for what the exam is, that is your planning, right? So if you look at all the topics from the syllabus, your metropolitan planning, planning and design studio, demography and urbanization, elements of economics related to planning again, right? Urban governance, all of these we have all studied in urban planning. Do all of you agree with me for this, right? So even if you look at this, it might look very extensive, and I'm sure looking at this, you might feel a bit scared that, oh my God, it's so much to study. But trust me, you have covered all of this in your duration of course, right? So all of these topics could be summed up under your urban planning that you've studied. Housing, rehabilitation, resettlement, community planning, urban design and conservation. We have done that, we've studied that also. Poverty and development, informal sector, basic needs, yes. Planning for tourism. Again, there are in some courses, there are electives related to tourism. Again, project planning and control, project management, operations research, systems analysis. Again, part of your project management. Settlement geography, elements of settlement sociology, rural resource planning, district planning, all under the topic of rural and district planning, right? And landscape design, or even these topics probably might be a little bit new for you, but I'm sure you're not completely unaware about these, like public policy and planning or politics and planning, right? So this is something probably might be a little bit new, but not completely. And professional practice, right? So now tell me that whatever we have discussed, how we have clubbed these subjects or these topics from the syllabus and put them under different subjects. I'm sure all of you have studied these subjects at college, right? So what should be now my preparation strategy? Can anybody uh, let me know, or what should the approach be? Right? What would you do if, let's say, now we have simplified things a bit. Now let us look at what can be the plan of action for the next 30 days, right? So if I say, can I club or prioritize my subjects on the basis of their importance into first priority, second priority, and third priority? Can I, since this is again a planning exam, our primary focus has to be on subjects focusing on planning, right from urban planning, planning techniques, planning history, legislation, services, rural planning, transportation planning, tourism planning, right? Can I put these as my first priority? Then probably few other subjects which are again allied with planning but not core planning, like your project management or surveying, professional practice, climatology, as priority 2. And then some subjects which are more inclined towards the architectural base, like urban design, conservation, building construction, as my third priority in my preparation. But that again does not mean that you only study priority 1 and ignore these two. No, we have to focus on all of them, but more weightage to priority 1 subjects, right? So even when, let's say, preparing for the next 30 days, what we can do is, now if you look at this, these are my priority 1 subjects, starting from today or let's say tomorrow, for the next 3 weeks till 20th, I try and finish off all of these subjects that are there, urban planning, planning techniques. Since these are my priority 1 subjects, and also they need a larger amount of time and focus, we can expand this preparation for these priority 1 subjects over a period of 3 weeks. After that, coming to your priority 2 subjects, right? Parallelly, along with priority 1 subjects, you can start side by side with your P2 subjects. But let's say, for example, maybe in a day, you're studying for 8 hours. Out of that, give 6 hours to priority 1 subject, 2 hours or 3 hours to your priority 2 subject, right? And then coming to your P3. So in this case, you can use the last week that is there, or the 3rd week rather, once you have finished your P2 subjects, and side by side you start with your P3 subjects with integrated with the P1 subjects, right? So first week you're doing priority 1 and 2, second week also the same, and third week we go for priority 1 and 3. Now hopefully once you have covered your entire syllabus or portion, what we can do is with the third, or rather the last week, the 4th week, that is from 21st to 27th, you focus on revising all of this data that you have gone through. Focus on revising facts and figures which you could use in your answer writing, practice diagrams, sketches, right? Because that is what is actually going to help you in your answer writing as well. And you might feel that, oh, this is a vast portion or vast syllabus, but trust me and believe in yourself, you have gone through all of this. You just need to revise it. Okay. Now, coming to the main question, the main question or doubt or self-doubt where it is arising for a lot of students is your answer writing approach. Now, if you see, with respect to answer writing, what are the few main things that we need to focus on is first and foremost, try and understand the question. Okay, once you are clear with understanding the question, then nothing is difficult. Now, if you see, usually in these kind of descriptive exams or subjective exams, what kind of or what type of questions are asked is what we are going to look at. So let's start with the first one. First, like I said, what is the question instructing me? Try and understand that. Now, for example, there are various types of questions. We will discuss a few of them. Questions which are asking you to discuss something, right? For example, if you look at this question, major cities of India are becoming more vulnerable to flood conditions. Discuss. Okay. Now, in this kind of a question, where there is discuss mentioned, you need to look at the answer, or you need to give the answer from both the perspectives, positive, negative points. Now, in terms of, let's say, a question like this, where you have flood conditions, it would be more on the negative impacts that are causing this flood condition. That would be the focus, right? So in such cases, again, introduction and conclusion are very, very important for a discuss kind of a question. Then coming to another type, that is describe. Now here, if you take this question on the screen, describe various surveys necessary to undertake traffic and transportation, and what are the benefits of GIS and remote sensing application in transportation planning. Now, first identify your keywords. What is it asking you to describe or talk about? Surveys related to traffic and transportation is what you have to describe. What are these surveys? What kind of that you can also probably mention the types of surveys. Plus, now you have to add up this answer of surveys and traffic transportation with benefits of GIS for transportation, right? So in case of, now here they've spoken about surveys, you can also integrate how different surveys or can be conducted using GIS. Other than that, planning. Now here they are talking about transportation planning. So using the same GIS and remote sensing applications, how can you plan better with respect to transportation? So here in a describe kind of question, the focus should be primarily only on the subject matter pinpointedly, right? So again, here you can't sit and talk about urban planning and how the political system is, or the public policies related to transportation planning are of no use in this answer, right? Stick only to these keywords and describe them in detail. Okay, I hope this is clear to you what should be the approach. Then coming to the next type, that is explain type of questions. So let's look at this question. Explain the causes of air pollution and its effects. What is its effect on global warming? Now, what would be the approach for a explain type of question? You need to give an answer in detail for this case as to why is air pollution happening, what are the causes, what are its causes, impacts, how is it happening, how could it be tackled? All of these important points need to be discussed, right? So in terms of causes, you have n number of causes with respect to your different types or sources of pollution, and all of that you can write. Plus, how is it impacting? Now, when again you're writing this answer, is it only affecting the humans? No, it is affecting your environment, ecology, and all of these things, right? So here your approach should be more of multi-dimensional, right? Because they are asking you to explain, go in detail. They expect you to give a detailed answer for this, right? And have a multi-dimensional approach where you focus on all kinds of points. Probably if you, let's say for this case of air pollution, you can also mention the decrease in lifespan that is being caused because of air pollution. Other than that, you, like we said, it's, you are talking about what is happening presently, how is it impacting humans, how is it impacting the environment. You can go one step ahead and also explain what could its severe impacts be in the near future for the future generations, right? So that is what your multidimensional approach would be. And then of course integrate. Now what is it talking? Air pollution and its effects, one part, and effect on global warming. So again, in its effects, one could mention about global warming, and then from there take that answer ahead and elaborate on its effect on global warming. So I hope you have a better idea. Then coming to distinguish, differentiate, basically easy type. I'm sure we've all written it, these kind of questions in school also, distinguish between part A and part B, right? For example, if I take this question, differentiate between the Dravida, Nagara and Vesara style of temple architecture. Here you have to clearly mention in these kind of questions that what is the Dravida style, what is the Nagara style, what is the Vesara style, right? And its main important points. And your focus should be more on the differentiation between these three, right? Not only explain one style and leave the other, no. So take the subject, clearly differentiate on different points. Maybe let's say it's architectural style, it's probably the entrance gates, these are different, the vimana of the temple, which is different. You can talk about that because these are the major differentiating factors. Its area of location, one is in north, one is in southern India, right? So these major differentiating factors are what would be expected out of you in the answer. Then questions like examine. Now, in these kind of questions, you have to mention the good, bad, and the disadvantages related to that particular question. Again, if this is not, hard and fast that you have to mention the good, now you have to take this call on the basis of the question. What kind of a question is it? Right? Now, if you look at this question, Mumbai, Delhi, and Kolkata are three mega cities of the country. But air pollution is much more of a serious problem in Delhi as compared to the other two. Examine. Right? Now, if you see air pollution, there is nothing good that I can honestly write about it. So here, when I am examining this question, I need to focus on what are these negative impacts. And again, compare between these cities. Because if you read the question again, right, these are three mega cities. There is air pollution in Delhi as compared to the other two. So what all factors, even when you're writing such kind of a question, right? Examine in terms of what? Now, what all would you be writing? Let's say the population for Mumbai is much higher than Delhi. Okay. But more importantly is the geographic location, right? In this case. So where if you see Kolkata and Mumbai have a coastal front, whereas Delhi does not, plus your western winds that come into Delhi during the winter period have an impact, plus its geographical location completely landlocked, surrounded by the Aravallis, and the stubble burning again, another issue from Punjab where the stubble burning happens, right? So these are your important points that you cannot miss in such kind of a answer, right? So I hope this is clear. You have a better idea. For all these kind of questions, the more points or the more multi-dimensional answer you give, the more marks are uh, something that you will get. But you have to cover all the points and not deviate from the question. That is the crux or the main game-changing part of descriptive questions. Okay? Coming to other category of questions, that is enumerate, elaborate, elucidate. Here you need to explain the points one by one. Now, usually in this kind of questions, these are statements which are more factual and you have to support those. If you look at this question, safeguarding Indian heritage is the need of the moment. They have just given a statement which is a fact, right? And now they are asking you to give justification to why this Indian heritage should be safeguarded and why is it the need to safeguard it. So elaborate on that, right? So if you look at this here, again, your keywords, Indian heritage, safeguarding it, and need of this moment. So at present, in terms of, let's say, planning or other aspects, what is happening? You can start with that why is it necessary today? right? You could also talk about different policies in this question, how they are, some of them are trying to safeguard it. Your rapid urbanization, right? Your yes, policies, rapid urbanization, the impacts with respect to, again, urbanization, and how could it hamper the Indian heritage if not taken care of at this moment, right? So these are uh, the focus points for a elaborate question where you need to mention all relevant points related to that topic. Okay. Again, in this question, you have to have a proper introduction, conclusion. These are important. Coming to the last part, that is critically evaluate questions. What is it asking you? Now, if you look at this question, critically evaluate the use of GIS and remote sensing in natural resource management, right? So here, this question is asking you to also firstly analyze, secondly, mention about its pros and cons, positives, negatives with facts, plus give your suggestions or opinion. Right? So you have to evaluate critically, as in, I'm sure you know critic review. We've all heard of this term that usually comes up with respect to movies, right? So same thing, you have to give your opinions, your suggestions, how things could be made better. So let's say in this question, I know I have to talk about GIS with respect to your natural resources. So talk about how it is helpful, how it could be made better, how is, if it is used somewhere and it is not working properly, why is it not working properly? Why is it not helpful? You can give examples, you can quote ongoing policies, government schemes where necessary. Once all you have stated facts, you have given them all the data, right, in your answer, where you're talking about all the analysis, the merits, demerits, etc. Then in the concluding part, you should probably end your answer with your opinion or your suggestions that since this is not working or is not being utilized efficiently, for example, these following are the steps that can be brought into action to make it better, right? So I hope you have a better idea of what should be your approach. I would suggest that go back today, look at these question types, right? Try and understand those because that is something very, very important. Fine. Now, let's try and answer this one question with respect to discussing the salient features of Garden City concept by Ebenezer Howard. Now tell me what all points come to your mind when you talk about Garden City concept or Ebenezer Howard. What are the few first points that you feel should be a part of your answer, right? So again, in this case, if I may start now, can I start with what is the history or why did he come up with the Garden City concept? So in case, if I look at this portion where I have to talk about the Garden City, can I start with the Industrial Revolution and its impacts? Maybe only two lines, and how these impacts led to Ebenezer Howard thinking of having this Garden City concept. Again, you also mention about the book in which he has spoken about this, and from there the concept came into being. Now coming to the main part is the salient features, right? So this is a part of your introduction. Coming to the features of the garden city, now let's talk about what all has he spoken about, right? So starting with maybe the three magnet theory and how he is talking about the town and country and countryside, right? And how would it be beneficial for the people? From this three magnet theory, where he says that town and country are the most beneficial for the people, that is where now he comes up with the garden city concept. Now in garden city again, he has very specifically mentioned all the details, right? So features like how it should be more of agricultural land, how it should be community owned land, these important points, plus some facts like the population should be 32,000 for a garden city. It would be an area of 6,000 acres for one garden city, where you have 5,000 acres for agriculture and 1,000 for only building, right? Or for residential construction, etc. Along with this, again, other important points like the diagram also, if you draw, is an additional benefit that is going to help you score better. So you can probably draw where you have the central city in the center and you have the 6 garden cities that are there, right? So this is just a tentative sketch, but you should practice the diagram and go, that would be much beneficial. How he talks about having a connectivity between these garden cities through your better integrated transportation and network systems. Again, with respect to that, all the other important features, facts, plus you can end it with the examples of Letchworth and Welwyn, which were your first two garden cities that were experimented. Now, in this case, they are only asking you to discuss the features, right? So you can mention all the important features and end at that. Here, no need to go in detail with respect to analyzing whether the garden cities which got constructed, for example, Letchworth and Belvin, were they successful? Was it a successful model, etc. There is no need to discuss that in this kind of a question. Okay. Now, another question, if I look at this similar theory, defend the relevance of three magnet theory of Ebenezer Howard in the urban and regional dynamics of the present context of India. Right? So what is it asking me to do? The question, let's break that up first. Here, I have to talk about the three magnet theory, yes, but I have to talk about it in the context of India. And why is it relevant, or why would it be applicable, right? So here in this case, writing this entire thing is of no use for this second question, right? Here, focusing in detail on the salient features is not going to fetch you marks. What needs to be the focus is, again, you talk about the three magnet theory, yes. You talk, or what you can do is cram up or make this data that you see here, that you've used for the first question, you make it concise and give it out in 3 to 4 lines, or max 1 paragraph, 5 lines, right? Because now you need to integrate this data with your Indian context. Okay, so now if you see, look at these two questions. They're asking about the same theory. Here, the main keywords are regarding the same theory, same person. But the approach to these questions is going to be different because of what this discuss is telling you, defend is telling you. Right? Because of what the question is asking you, your approach is going to be different. The data is going to be the same. It's up to you now how efficiently can you use it. And to use it efficiently, you will have to practice more, right? So, like I said, don't be scared as to, how am I going to give this exam and this and that. Because trust me, if you just compare these two questions, your data is same, right? You only need to understand the questions better. And since you've studied all of this already in your graduation or post-graduation, this is not new to you. I hope this is clear to all of you, right? And only to help the students, Exam Assure is launching a crash course that is starting from tomorrow till 23rd of January, where we will be discussing about the subjective questions, the descriptive answer writing, how is that should be done. There will be topic-wise subjective practice questions that would be given, right? And the focus is again on the new syllabus or the new pattern of the HPSC, plus what additional points can you write to score or get those 1 or 2 extra marks that you need to qualify for the exam. As most of the faculty at Exam Assure have qualified various competitive exams, this comes from their experience as to what the approach should be. And the pricing for the crash course is not 9,000, but 4,399. But there is a giveaway for all of you who have joined the webinar today in the morning. What you will get from this program is a more sorted idea as to what should be focused on, and the chaos that is still going on in most of your heads is something that will get cleared, right? The giveaway is that the price would be dropped down to 4,199 for the first 20 minutes starting from now, as it is New Year's Eve as well. So the link has been shared into your chat message, live chat. So in case if you want to enroll, this chance is only for the first 20 minutes. So please go ahead and do that. Yes. So thank you. I hope this session was helpful to you guys and beneficial. So last concluding note, please understand your question very, very well, right? That is the game changer. And that is what will help you score better. Because if, let's say, there is a question where you are asked to evaluate and you are only discussing the features and not giving your opinion, that examiner is not going to give you marks. You might get 2 marks or 3 marks at the max for a 10 marks question, if that is done. Okay. So in case of any queries, you can WhatsApp us. The numbers have been shared in the chat. And thank you and wish you all the best.